What's up, everybody? It's me, Chris, here to make my predictions for UFC 97 coming from Montreal this weekend. Might have to breeze through them. Usually I don't do the whole card, but pretty much every fight on this card I think is competitive. You can make a case for either guy, so I'm going to try to get through the undercard pretty quick and hopefully have time to, talk about the main events a little bit more in depth. Anyways, first fight we got Elliot Marshall versus Vinny Magalhaes. Both coming off the last season of The Ultimate Fighter, both jiu-jitsu specialists. I think Elliot Marshall's a little more well-rounded with the stand-up, but I think this fight probably will hit the ground, and if it does, I'd give Magalhaes the edge there as he has the better jiu-jitsu credentials. So I'm gonna go. Well, wow. You know what though? Marshall may be hard to finish though, and he might be able to keep it standing, better wrestling. I'll go with Elliot Marshall by decision. But don't be surprised if Magalhaes pulls out a sub. Next up, Matt Wyman, Sam Stout. Should be an exciting fight. Both guys are kind of mid-level guys or whatever. Going to see a lot of Canadian fighters on here, being as this card's in Montreal. But I think Matt Wyman's more well-rounded. Stout's got the better stand-up, but I think if Wyman can get him on the ground, he can control him, kind of school him there. Stout doesn't have the best ground game, so I'm going to go with Matt Wyman by decision in what should be a pretty exciting fight. Next up, Mark Bocek against David Caden. Let's see. Both guys are jiu-jitsu fighters. I mean, that's where their bread and butter is, so to speak. I think Bocek's a little bit better there, and I also think he has a little bit better stand-up. Not much, but a little bit. I believe he trains with the American Top Team, or one of those Top Team affiliates, so that'll help him out. I'll go with Bocek here by decision. Next up, TJ Grant against Hayo Shonen. Don't know much about TJ Grant. Heard good things about him. Shonen's somewhat of a gatekeeper. He hasn't looked too spectacular in the UFC so far. I'm just going to go with Grant. He's a Canadian guy. They're putting him on the card for a reason. Maybe they think he's a future prospect. So I'll go with Grant to take the win. Next up, we got David Crow Loiseau returning to the UFC against Ed Herman. Good matchup, different styles. Got the striker against more of a grappler, ground and pounder in Herman. I'm going to favor David Loiseau in this fight. He's got the much better stand-up. Herman's definitely, will have the advantage if he gets him down and can pound him out, but I think Loiseau is a fast enough fighter. He may be able to keep away from Herman and maybe, implement his stand-up game, and ride out a decision there. But, if Herman gets him down, he can control him and hold him down there. But, I don't know. I just see Crow winning this fight. I don't have any real reason behind it, but I just think he's going to take this one. Next, we got Dennis King against Xavier Fuka-Pokum, better known as Professor X. This fight is pretty much a toss-up in my opinion. X has got the better stand-up skills. King's got the better all-around game. King hasn't shown the best chin as of late. So Professor X could definitely knock him out. But I'm going to go with Dennis King by decision or submission just because I think he's a better, more well-rounded fighter. But this should be a pretty good fight. Last in the preliminary cards, we got Jason McDonald against Nathan The Rock Quarry. Nate Quarry, he's a pretty solid fighter, but he just doesn't have that good of ground skills. I think McDonald, if he can get him down there, I think he should be able to submit him or, just school him on the ground, and to be honest, with positioning and whatnot. I think Quarry's probably got a little bit better wrestling, but I don't think he's a guy that, McDonald can't take down. Quarry's probably got more power in the hands, but I don't know, his striking is just really rudimentary, and I think McDonald's is a little more fluid, so I don't think either really has a huge advantage there, but I see McDonald win this fight either by a submission or a decision. On to the main card, first fight of the night, or first card, Brian Stann versus Krzysztof Szczecinski. Stann will be making his UFC debut. He's coming off that loss to Steve Cantwell, the title loss in the WEC. Szczecinski's coming off, last season's Ultimate Fighter. Clash of styles. Well, Szczecinski's kind of well-rounded. Stan's more of a stand-up fighter, more of a striker. Szczecinski's got a lot more experience, you know what I'm saying? Wow, I would assume the UFC would probably want Stan to win. He's got a good story, he's a very marketable fighter. But I just don't think he's well-rounded enough or ready yet for Szczecinski. Not that Szczecinski's a world beater or anything, but I just think he's got the game to get Stan down on the ground and probably submit it from there. So I'm going to go with Szczecinski by submission. Next up, we got Czech Congo against Anthony Hardonk. Basically a fight of two big, strong kickboxers. Problem here for Hardonk is, though, Congo's got a bit of a Greco wrestling background. Plus, he's been training with the Wolf Slayer, so Hopefully they'll stand and trade, because I think that'll make for a really exciting fight. But I think Congo will probably play it smart if he, depending on how the stand-up goes, unless he's dominating there. I think he'll just take Hardonk down, which he should be able to do with no problem, and either smash him out or maybe pull a submission like a Kimura or Americana, something of that like. But either way, I'm going to go with Congo to win this fight. Next up, we got Steve Cantwell against Luis Arthur Kane. Cantwell's coming off that armbar win over Razak El Hassan, where he pretty much dislocated his elbow. It was nasty. But a sick submission, but it was just gross. Anyways, he's a former WEC champion at 205. Luis Arthur Kane is coming off the TKO win over Sokaju. Should be a really good fight. Both guys like to stand and trade it out. Kane's got 9 wins, 8 of them by TKO or KO. Cantwell, as shown in the rematch against Brian Stan, has pretty good stand-up himself. However, I think Luis Arthur Kane's stand-up's a little more farther advanced at this point. I'm not saying Cantwell doesn't have pretty good stand-up, but I just think Kane is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit better technique, and I don't know. This should be a really good fight, though. You know what I'm saying? Both guys probably want to trade. I think both are confident on the ground, but I see Kane taking this fight by TKO. Next up, we got one of the big fights: Chuck Liddell against Mauricio Shogun Rua. Long fight, long in the making. Fans wanted to see this years ago when both were on the top of their games in both the UFC and Pride respectively. Chuck's coming off the straight KO, lost to Rashad Evans. He got iced. Before that, he had the win over Vanderlei, but he's actually lost 3 of his last 4, so he's on the downslide, but see what he's got left. Shogun's coming off the TKO win over Mark Coleman. Wow, didn't really look good in that fight. Thought he'd look a lot more impressive. The fight was so back and forth. It's so astonishing that Shogun looked so bad, and to be honest, made it for a really exciting fight, entertaining fight at least. For that, Shogun lost Forrest in his UFC debut. Anyways, it's pretty much a crossroads fight. Chuck's at the tail end of his career, kind of see whether he's got anything left, or if kind of think about packing it up. Shogun hasn't looked good since coming to the UFC, so we're gonna see if he can establish himself, get a win over a big name like Chuck Liddell. Shogun's a younger fighter. He's got the better jiu-jitsu game, probably got the better overall game, but I don't know if this matchup fares well for him. The matchup itself. Chuck's the better striker, I believe. I think he's got the stronger, better punch, got the better chin, probably better kicks, and Shogun's got the better jiu-jitsu. The problem is, I don't think Shogun's got the wrestling to get Chuck down. Shogun's takedowns are really sloppy, really not very good. Chuck's got, as we've seen before, has good takedown defense, and when he is taken down, has no problem getting back up. So even if Shogun can't get him down, I see Chuck being able to get back up, scramble his way back up. But I just don't see Shogun being able to get him down. I do think Chuck can put Shogun down if he chooses to, and probably rain down some ground and pound, but I don't know if that's in his best interest. I think he's better off just standing up and trading it out. Hard to say where Chuck is, you know what I'm saying? He hasn't looked good in his last few fights. The Vanderlei fight he looked good in, but obviously he looked alright in the first round of the Rashad fight, but I don't know. Like I said, he's definitely not in his prime anymore, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Chuck Liddell to win this fight, probably by TKO or decision. I think Shogun still, I don't think losing here is that big of a mark on him, you know what I'm saying? But I just think the matchup favors Chuck Liddell. Next up, main event, we got Anderson Silva defending his title against Thales Leites. Silva's coming off the disappointing win over Patrick Cote. Just didn't look himself in there. Cote got injured in the 3rd round. Fight was stopped. I believe it was a TKO. I'm not for sure what it was, but either way, Anderson just didn't look his best. Hopefully, he's probably going to want to come out and really look really good. Re-cement his name at the top of the pound-for-pound status, list, where GSP and Fedor are getting a lot of run along with himself. Thales Leites, challenger, good record, 14-1. The only loss coming to Martin Kampman. He's coming off the rear naked choke win over Drew McFedries. Anyone who knows anything about MMA probably knew he was going to win that fight pretty quickly by submission. Before that, he had the win over Nate Marquardt, split decision. Actually, I thought he lost that fight, even with the point deduction for Marquardt. I actually thought Nathan Marquardt won that fight. But Leites gets a shot. Anyways, I think Anderson Silva's going to win this fight pretty easily, to be honest. We all know Thales Leites is a better jiu-jitsu fighter, or got the much better jiu-jitsu skills than Anderson, but I don't know if he's strong enough to get the fight down there. Although Luder and a few other guys have gotten Anderson on the ground, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think Anderson's a lot bigger and stronger than Thales Leites, and I don't think Thales Leites has the takedowns necessarily to get him down there. But I don't even know if he's going to be able to get a chance to, because I think Anderson's so much more superior on the feet that I think he's going to be able to hurt Leites early. And I actually think he's going to probably be able to finish him off in the first or second round, TKO. Nothing against Leites. I watched UFC Countdown last night. Seems like a really cool guy, really nice guy. But I just don't think he is the fighter that's going to be Anderson Silva. I think Anderson Silva is a much better fighter than him at this point. And I think Anderson's going to come out, look to really, make up for his last performance, put it down, and dominate. And see Anderson taking this fight. Should be a really good night of fights. This card looks really good in my opinion. Probably back on Sunday to give you my thoughts afterwards. But until then, I'm out of here. Bye.